Okay, welcome to the PairRec San Fran Tourism channel. Our goal is to showcase the top attractions in the San Francisco Bay Area and where to find them. Our ultimate goal is to help you find your point of interest. Now, today's feature will be phase 2 of a series of adventures on showcasing the neighborhood of Potrero Hill in San Francisco. Now in phase 1, we focused in on the many hidden gems within Potrero Hill, which the biggest being the Crooked Street, which is at 20th in Vermont. And I emphasized how the Crooked Street at 20th in Vermont is the largest crooked street in the city, the longest one, not Lombard Street. And then I also pointed out all the other hidden gems throughout Potrero Hills. We went really eastbound from 20th in Vermont down to Cove Park. Now we're gonna, and as far as Potrero Hill goes, the location, it's roughly 4 to 5 miles south of Fisherman's Wharf and approximately 1 to 2 miles south of Union Square. So besides taking a taxi or maybe a sidecar service, ride-sharing service like Uber or Lyft, you can also take public transit to get here. Now, from where we're going to begin phase 2, at Cove Park, you can there's 2 ways you can get here. Essentially one way, if you're doing public transit, you would, from Union Square, you go down to Market Street, and either 2nd, 3rd, or 4th Street, whichever one. As I mentioned before, my previous film showed you want to look for the bus stop that has the specific bus line you want to take. And in this case, you'd want to take the T bus line on Market Street going eastbound. It's going to drop you off at Mariposa and 3rd Street. And then you just walk 1 block on Mariposa to Illinois, and then walk 1 block up Illinois southbound, and you find Cove Park. Essentially, it's just a block away from 3rd Street. That's all. And then, or if you're coming from Fisherman's Wharf, you take the F streetcar all the way down to Market Street, Market and Stewart Street, and from there you transfer to the T bus line. Take the T bus line all the way down to Mariposa and 3rd Street. As far as the T bus line goes, normally it would be the T light rail train, but the T light rail train is out of service temporarily. So right now the T bus line is the one you'd want to take coming down from Market Street. But if you do plan on using public transit throughout the city, you can contact SF Muni. It's a great source of information for all public transit throughout the city. Their phone number is area code 415-673-6864. And also you can log on to NextBus on your iPhone.com, and then you would select the bus line you're using, and you can track the movement of the bus line. This is the one I use all the time. I use NextMuni to track the bus as it approaches my stop, and I also contact SF Muni for transit bus information. Now, phase 2, we're going to continue our journey in Potrero Hill. We're going to start off on 19th Street, going westbound, and I'm going to emphasize more hidden gems throughout Potrero Hill. And also, finally, there's a new service called Chapters, and this allows you to view any segment, any specific area within the video that you might find of interest. So I've created a series of chapters in the description below, and you look through that description and you find a specific area of interest within the video. Click on that timestamp, and it'll take you right to that particular clip within the video. Now, with that being the case, let's get started. Today's weather in San Francisco is 72 degrees Fahrenheit, 56% humidity with 11-mile-an-hour winds. And today's date is Tuesday, October the 20th, 2020 at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Okay, now before we begin our journey going westbound on 19th Street, I want to emphasize the significance of how the streets are numbered and aligned. This for several reasons. One, this allows you to more easily find a business or an attraction once you understand how the streets are numbered and aligned. And also, it helps ride-sharing services like Uber and Lyft try to find you. When a driver asks you where you're located, you know how to identify your specific location, and then you can just relay that information to the driver. So we're going to be starting off at the 600 block of 19th Street. Now, if you notice, the arrow is pointing westbound, which indicates that the numbered block is rising, for instance, to the next 100 block. So, for instance, the next street that crosses 19th Street, that's going to be at the 700 block of 19th. And then we're going to be at the 800 block and the 19th block, etc., etc. And then the other thing you need to emphasize is that one side of the street is going to be odd numbered, and then the other side is going to be even numbered in terms of the specific street address. So again, making it easier for you to find the establishment. Now, one final thing in regards to the arrow pointing westbound, best means, as I said earlier, that the numbers in the block are going to be increasing, which means also that to your right of the arrow, the number is going to be decreasing. So you know that the number to your right of the arrow is going to be 500, and then it's going to get less to 400, 300, 200, 100, and then you'll see the end of the block. So, with that being the case, let's get started. Going westbound on 19th Street, the cross street is going to be 3rd Street. Now, one final thing. On 3rd Street, this area is going to be where most of your dining options are going to be located at. Now, currently, we're in the sub-neighborhood of Dog Patch, which is within Potrero Hill. You'll find that in several neighborhoods throughout the city that there are sub-neighborhoods within the major neighborhood. Like, for instance, South of Market is probably the largest neighborhood in the city. It's got several sub-neighborhoods in it, like South Beach, for example. We'll focus more on that when we feature South of Market, but nevertheless. Dog Patch is, if you're looking at a map, say a Google map, it's within Potrero Hill. The main areas within the Dog Patch is, as far as the cross streets go, it's going to be 3rd Street, which I'm at right now, which is eastbound, and then it's going to go up to the highway, which we'll be featuring shortly, going westbound, Highway 280, and then northbound, the cross street is going to be 16th Street, and then southbound Cesar Chavez. So that's going to make up the Dog Patch neighborhood. That being the case, let's get started. Now, one of the things you want to be aware of if you decide to do any street parking in the city is to pay attention to the signage that's on the sidewalk before you decide to park. Now, in this case, the first thing you want to emphasize is in green and white is 1 hour parking free parking between 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. And then also underneath it shows move off the block or 1/10 a mile before the limit expires, except area permits with EE. Now, in the case of the EE, that's where, let's say, a local has the permit, a paid permit, that allows them to park in this area, designated area. If you don't have that paid permit, then your options for parking free are limited pursuant to this signage. Now, the other thing is in red and white, you'll see no parking between 12:01 a.m. to 6 a.m. on Tuesdays, and that's for street cleaning. So again, if your car is parked in this area during that time frame, you're going to get ticketed or towed. So the third thing, if you look at the very top, white and red, is no parking for vehicles over 22 feet long or 7 feet high. Again, every day from 12:01 to 6 a.m. So make sure you pay attention to these parking signs to prevent being ticketed or towed. Now, another thing you need to be aware of when parking within the city, especially on hills, is to how to properly turn your wheels to, of course, prevent the car from rolling, but also to keep from getting fined, because if your car is improperly fined, then you're going to get ticketed. Now, as you see here, the hill is going upwards. That means you need to turn your wheels pretty much away from the curb, as this car illustrates. If you're parking downhill, then your wheels need to be turned inward. I'll show you the downwheel motion in a minute. So on the opposite side of the street, the hill is going downward. So therefore, the first car here to your right, you see how it's properly turned. The wheels are turned inward against the curb, but the car in front of it is turned outward, which is improper. In which case, if the MTA ticket meter reps come by and see that car is the wheels are not properly turned inward, then they're going to get towed. They're going to get fined. Not so much towed, but you'll get fined. So again, make certain that your car is properly parked and the wheels are properly turned when parking uphill or downhill to keep from getting fined. Okay, now we're going to be approaching the 700 block of 19th Street. The cross street is Tennessee. And as I mentioned earlier, we are in the historic Dog Patch neighborhood within Potrero Hill. Now approaching the 800 block of 19th Street. The cross street is Minnesota. Now here's a fitness cluster within the park. I'll show you what the amenities look like. But nevertheless, some parks have these little amenities that enhance your experience for hiking or walking and whatnot. And I'll show you what this fitness cluster is. So you can see there are a bunch of handrails here that you can use to stretch your arms, maybe chest. It's kind of like a cardiovascular exercise. That's kind of nice.